and welcome to your messages for the week. Today is Sunday, the 30th of July, 2023. And I am your host and energy reader, Deborah Jane Sutton. And you can find out more about me and the services that I offer at my website, deborahjanesutton.com. And you can also download my first book, absolutely free, Heal Yourself to Happiness, an introduction to understanding yourself as an energy being, and an introduction to understanding your powers as your own energy healer. And so how we can understand energy and heal ourselves to a certain extent, or to a complete extent, depending on how far you want to go with it. Okay, so 30th of July, right? So it's been a hot one here in Spain. It's been an interesting one, I think, everywhere. The astrology is interesting. Venus has gone into retrograde, which means that I'm noticing this around as well. A lot of people are dipping back into past relationships, either physically or mentally, emotionally, to resolve issues, for closure, to see things from a different perspective. I think that's a really important point, because it's like a spiral. Our path of evolution is like a spiral. So when we're left with maybe some bitterness, resentment, or even indifference, because indifference isn't unconditional love, right? If we're left with those feelings from past relationships, then maybe they're coming back into our reality one way or another, for us to be able to transmute them by looking at them from a different level of consciousness and having an open heart of unconditional love for all those that hurt us, those that loved us, left us, and family relationships and friendships as well. Friendships where, perhaps you weren't behaving so consciously, maybe they weren't behaving so consciously, and now we're in a place of not judging that. We're in a place of understanding and have a lot more awareness, so we can dip back into those relationships for some kind of personal growth. It's all about transmuting, isn't it? The icky feeling, the trapped emotions, and you might not be able to put a name on it sometimes, but it's just feelings that come up. Maybe it's a bit of resentment, or a bit of resistance, or it's just hurt, maybe. But we have the opportunity now with Venus in retrograde that we can go back to those relationships, and it's not so much resolving them face to face with the people in human form, although that might happen as well. If you're struggling to resolve a problem, I always recommend the pyramid of light. Meditate in the pyramid of light, so that you're in your highest self, and invite their highest self in, and then have a conversation with them and just say, hey, let's transmute whatever this is, or this is how I'm feeling, or this is how my human has been feeling. Anyway, whatever, just invite them in and see what happens. Just take the ideas that come to you, because it will be all relevant. So we don't need to deal with the person physically, which is, of course, this is very closely related to forgiveness. Of course, it goes hand in hand with a lot of forgiveness, and it's also hand in hand with self-love, because one of the perceptions of self-love, what does self-love mean to you? What self-love means to you is going to change depending on your level of consciousness, because in the very beginning, self-love could be just leaving a toxic relationship. Self-love could just be taking time out for yourself when you're a busy, family, when you have a busy family life. Self-love is also trusting the universe enough to leave a job that you're not happy with, to start doing whatever your passion hobby is. That's an act of self-love as well, but you have to take the leap of faith and trust and all of that. And then, as you expand into more of who you are, self-love is actually this work that we're talking about with Venus in retrograde. It's an act of self-love. Forgiveness is an act of self-love, because what you're doing is you are shifting and transmuting those feelings of resentment, anger, bitterness, betrayal, whatever they might be, into love. and gratitude for the experience, understanding that at a soul level, you created it all for the purpose of evolution. And some people agreed to play the baddie in your life. And they did a good job, didn't they? And now it's our opportunity to look back and go, oh my God, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't be loving myself as much as I am now if I hadn't had that lack of self-love reflected back to me in that baddie in my life. When they reflect your lack of self-love back to you, you notice, don't you? But it's your lack of self-love that created it. So that's an act of self-love, is by forgiving others and forgive yourself, so that you can actually look back with love, an expanded heart of love and gratitude for everyone and everything and every experience, every situation, and all those that hurt you. And you realize, hang on a minute, they did it for me. And look where I am, kind of thing, or look where I'm going, or whatever it might be. And then also, self-love is also just choosing a thought with a higher frequency emotion attached to it. So you could have a thought that just puts you in a contracted state, and then you think, well, that's not self-love. If I'm choosing my thoughts, our creative power comes from the fact that we can choose our beliefs. And I'm holding on to a belief that's keeping me in restriction, keeping me in contraction, so changing your beliefs. Don't believe everything you think. I think that came up, didn't it, last week? Must be a theme. So changing your beliefs to ones that actually expand you, that's also self-love, right? I mean, self-love can also be having a massage when you want it, or soaking in the bath, and obviously eating healthily is an act of self-love, isn't it? Because our humans are stuck in the density, right? And often they want to maybe overeat or overdrink, or over whatever it is. And sometimes an act of self-love can be to be that disciplinarian as your higher self, and to actually catch your human and say, listen, human, I love you. You don't need to eat all of that, drink all of that. You don't need to partake in those self-sabotaging habits, which of course we do. It's because of some kind of perceived separation from source. That's usually why we self-sabotage, because we have a perception of separation from it all. So anyway, oh my goodness me, I've gone off on one. Literally before I press record, and I have no idea what I'm going to say. And it all comes out, doesn't it? So yes, so August, we've got August coming in this week with the Lionsgate portal, which is always a powerful time. It seems to be more powerful this year, and I'm sure that's because of the astrology. Now, I'm not an astrologer, but I know the importance of it. So if you haven't seen, I did a video this week with my good friend Liz Nagle, who you probably have seen. I have a whole section, Self-Mastery with Liz Nagle. If you haven't met her, go and check out that section. But with Liz and with our new astrologer friend, Amy Bird. Her details, her contact details, I'll put in the description, along with Liz's as well. But I did a video. I'll put the video in the description as well, and the video in the end screen. So we were talking to her. She is so passionate about astrology, and is so intuitive, which I think is so important when you're having not just your birth chart read, but when you're hearing how transits and whatever's happening astrologically is affecting you personally, if you're having a private reading. That intuition that she has is invaluable, because she can really tune it into what's going on in your life, and she kind of works with you that way. It's really, really good. So anyway, so I just feel the energy. So I can just feel that this Lionsgate portal is more intense than usual, and it's Sirian energy that's coming in, and which is normal for the Lionsgate. And I love it, because at this time of year, I always seem to get more Sirian star seeds coming to me, and they don't know that they're Sirian star seeds, but they're waking up, because although the energy coming in is so high and beautiful and wonderful, and it's waking all of us up, when the light comes in, the shadows go, right? But they do wake up their own. This is how I perceive it anyway. They do seem to wake up their own, obviously, first. I think, in my experience with Sirian star seeds, they struggle most to get themselves out there, and they struggle most to connect with their highest guidance. And my understanding is that it's because Sirian consciousness is in the 12th dimension, and it's quite difficult to access that when you're here in the fourth. We're basically living in the 4th dimension. So physical body, 3rd dimension, emotions and thoughts, which are basically creating our world, right? 4th dimension. And we want to access 5th dimensional levels of consciousness, right? That's where our soul resides. Our passed over loved ones and spirit guides are usually in the 6th dimension, because we can access that. It's like being at school, isn't it? When let's say you're in year 4, you can access the curriculum in year 5, maybe, possibly even year 6, but you're going to struggle to access the curriculum in year 12. And it's a bit like that. And so our spirit guides and our passed over loved ones are kind of 6th dimension, or sometimes maybe 7th, but we can kind of access that consciousness. Everything's consciousness, remember, but we can access our highest consciousness, can access that. The Palladians, I gather, again, I'm no expert on this, but I do the soul profiles, which can let you know what soul group of origination you're from. Or which ones you resonate with, which ones you've spent time in, which ones you tap into. I think it's all about tapping into higher levels of consciousness to help you on your path. That's how I look at it. But I understand that the Palladians can lower their frequency to the 5th, which is why I think they're the ones that are around the most, and they're helping all of us. So if you see blue lights anywhere or anything like that, or if you do see, vehicles, then it's probably the Palladians, but it depends, obviously it depends where you're from. Of course, my Arcturians, I say my Arcturians, I mean, it's not like we're separate, of course, we're all one. I find it really weird, because we're evolving in this physical dimension to a state of non-judgment, non-separation, and we're creating unity and understanding the unity. And then we go into the non-physical world and it's all separation again. But it's not like it is in the physical. Everything's working together. It's all one, but it's almost like you're just choosing a path. It's like, to me, a path of enlightenment. There's so many different paths to enlightenment. And I do think tapping into your galactic family is a path to enlightenment. It's just your soul has chosen, okay, you resonate with this galactic family. And when you meditate, you'll be able to tap into that level of consciousness. And so my Arcturians are 9th dimensional. So, it's a good way to tap into those higher levels of consciousness. But the Sirians, of course, are 12th dimensional, which is why I believe Sirian starseeds struggle to access that. And the other thing about Sirian starseeds, and if you have felt a real awakening in this last month, and you're feeling something hypening up, it could be that you're a Sirian starseed, or that you're receiving Sirian energy anyway. But one of the things about the Sirians is that, as in from Sirius, not as in from Syria on the planet, is that they invented an implant technology to help raise the frequency, and to do good, obviously. But when it was introduced, it got taken over by less favorable forces and used against us. And because something that they spent time on producing got misused in that way, they kind of hide their light. They're kind of like, resistant to put themselves out there, because they have a fear of authority. It's not so much a fear, that's probably the wrong word, a distrust of authority. They're wary of authority. They've never really got on with authority because of this abuse of their technology. And they're very good at organizing, and they actually quite like hierarchical organizations and stuff, as long as they're led by people working for the highest good of all, of course. Not the kind of hierarchical organizations whereby it's top down. You know, you can have grassroots up and it still be some kind of hierarchy. There are leaders out there that that lead by example, and of course are helping others for the highest good of humanity. And also, of course, there are leaders that lead from behind. I quite like that concept. They actually lead from behind by just pushing you forward, kind of thing, if that makes sense. But anyway, so Sirian energy, yes, it's high at the moment, and I wasn't planning on sharing any of that, obviously. So it must be relevant, I think, for someone somehow. So yeah, keep in mind, if you do resonate with that and you think that you might be a Sirian starseed, and obviously you can get in touch for a session, but you can also meditate in the pyramid of light. I bring it back to that. Meditate in the pyramid of light, invite the Sirian consciousness in, and have a conversation with them, because if you are a Sirian starseed, you'll have it confirmed then. Okay, so anyway, and you might be from somewhere else. You might be a fellow Arcturian or whatever, and you might not be interested in all of that, which is also fine, because as I said, it's like a path to enlightenment. It's like yoga, you know, it's a fantastic motorway to enlightenment, but not for everybody, you know. And I've talked before, haven't I, about my vegetable patch, which was a little tiny path for me. It was like a little stroll in the park for a while. But there are lots of paths to enlightenment, and so if you're not resonating with your galactic origins, it's really no big deal. There'll be other things that you resonate with that are going to help you tap in to your highest guidance. So wow, that's Landscape Portal, but I will be doing a video for the month of August, obviously, this week, very soon. It's Tuesday, isn't it? So look out for that as well. So take a deep breath. Let's activate our intuition and see what is coming out for us. I take them out, they fall out, and I have them face down. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Let's see, anything else? Thank you. Anything else? Thank you. We have 4. I think that might be it. We shall see. Yes. Oh, no. I said yes, and then one just poked its. Oh, my goodness me. I do try and keep these as short as possible, but what can I do if... Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just summarize these. Sometimes I do that when it goes on like that. Oh my goodness me, they're falling all over the place. I always think that's about Archangel Raphael when things start falling all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think I've ever had 9 before. I'm tempted to pick a 10th because there's completion there, but I'm also not, because 9 is also a lovely number. Let's dive straight in, otherwise this is going to take forever. Oh wow, I love it. The Hermit, major arcana card to start with. Meditation. What have I been talking about? Meditate in your pyramid of light. You're inviting you can invite past loved ones in, of course, if you're struggling to communicate with them. You can invite anyone from your past that you want to resolve issues with, someone that you're finding difficult to talk to in the 3rd dimension, in your human experience. And it could just be someone that you've got nothing to do with anymore, and you don't need to have anything to do with them anymore, right? But when you think about them, you get an icky feeling. That's what it's about. So he's solitude, meditation, following his energy. It's about your energy, not theirs. It's about your energy. Meditation, wise. Okay, so this is, I'm following what feels right for him, tapping in to that higher level of consciousness. So that's a clear one. And he's also the Virgo card. So if you are going through any shifts, and of course Virgo comes in sort of towards the end of August, doesn't it? So if you are feeling any shifts, if you are accessing higher levels of consciousness at this time, if you are feeling a rise in your frequency, it's probably going to carry you somewhere, That frequency that's within you is going to create a new reality for you. There's going to be new things in your reality, because obviously what the frequency that you are is going to get reflected back to you in the holographic projection that you're calling life. So when you raise your frequency like this, something's going to change in the outside world for you. And this is a Virgo card. So I don't think you're going to have long to wait. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And here we go. This is fantastic. The Three of Wands. He's looking out over the shores of heaven on earth. I want to mention the July messages for the month of July, because they were about baby steps, just taking baby steps. You don't have to see the bigger picture. There's no point in planning details, and there's no point in planning long term, because your frequency will rise before you get there, and your future is dependent on your frequency, not on your planning. And plus the fact, when you plan, right, you're going to be planning from your fourth dimensional human mind. And as much as your human is amazing and wonderful and lovely, your human is choosing to live in a world of lack and limitation and duality. Okay, your higher self knows that miracles, you have to believe in miracles to have them come into your life. And we often, when we try and think something, we try and fathom something out with our human mind, we just can't get there. We cannot fathom, we can't think in, we don't think in miracles, do we? There are infinite possibilities, infinite timelines. The only thing stopping you from living your infinite abundance is your own belief system. So we need to really stop planning and trust in the universe, that it will take you, because when the action is divine, when it's the right path for you and your destiny, for you to express your divinity within your human experience, then the action will be choiceless, effortless, joyful, and it will just come through you, and you won't have to worry about making an effort. And we don't think in terms of miracles. We don't plan in terms of our dreams coming true, do we? So nothing makes God laugh more than a human with a plan. So keep the vague plans, of course. You have to shoot out a rocket of desire, as Abraham Hicks calls them. You know, you have a desire, that's a rocket of desire. You put the desire out there, okay, and then you take the baby steps, which is what the July messages is all about. Just take the baby steps. So you don't have to see the bigger picture. It's just take a baby step in whatever your heart wants you to do, you know, because you might have wanted to do it all your life and you've just ruled it out as impractical. You know, it's not going to happen, because you in your human mind cannot fathom how that's going to happen. Well, just let your human cope with what your human has to cope with, and just understand that you are not your human. You are a multidimensional energy being, and your human is a fantastic and lovely and wonderful physical vessel, an instrument, a vehicle for which your soul can express its divinity through in this lifetime. Okay, it was Albert Einstein that said your human vessel is the instrument in which your soul plays its music through. But keep that in mind, that you are your higher self, and you can look at your human like the child that he or she is, and treat them accordingly with as much unconditional love as you would give to a child as well. Oh, turned into a teacher again. The Three of Wands is what comes after the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is a decision, of course, and wands are fire, transformation and passion, and it's about taking those passion steps, those baby steps towards living the life that you want to live. Right. The three, of course, is the fruition that comes from having made that decision. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't living on your your path, if you hadn't stepped out of the comfort zone, before in your life, or at many times in your life, probably, if you haven't had to heal yourself through traumas and stuff like that. And so this is a lovely card because there is an energy of collaboration here, although there's only the one person in the picture. But it is about the fruition that comes when you take that leap of faith, the fruition that comes when you make the divine choice to create heaven on earth. He's looking out over the shores of heaven on earth, and it's like, no, the change starts within me. I'm not going to play this. That's just me. I can't change anything on my own. Yes, you can, because you're the only one creating your reality, and that your reality is a direct vibrational match to your frequency. So you want to change your reality, you change your frequency. Only you can do that. So it's a realization of that, and realizing that just by taking the baby steps, you don't have to understand the quantum physics behind it. I don't. But once you've experienced it, you'll understand it. Does that make sense? So this is a beautiful card. There's a reminder to rest, retreat, relax. Now this is interesting because the first 3 cards are all a little bit of solitude there still. So which is interesting because I've been really sociable lately. But he's about solitude. He's definitely about solitude, although this is about collaboration. As I said, he is on his own, so it is about collaborating. Could be about collaborating with the non-physical. Have we thought of that? He could be actually communicating with his spirit guides, passed over loved ones, galactic family, the archangels, whatever. But yes, I've not said that about that card before, but it actually makes sense because traditionally this card is about collaboration. And I've always wondered to myself, why is he on his own if it's about collaboration? And now I've kind of, oh yes, truth bumps. Maybe that's my new interpretation of this card. It's about collaborating with the higher realms. Oh, truth bumps. And this one is about resting, retreating, and relaxing. He's in meditation. He's meditating in his pyramid of light. He's inviting people in, whether it be his galactic family or people that he wants to forgive, people that he's got an icky feeling about, that he wants to transmute into unconditional love, because he understands it all starts with him. It could be about taking a massage, resting more, just taking time out for yourself. There is a little bit of worry and anxiety, and very often worry and anxiety just comes from tiredness. When we get ratty, when we're tired, we get ratty. So we probably need a bit more sleep than normal, or just rest. And sometimes we can feel, especially if you're on this spiritual path, I don't really like to say that word, I'm not sure, your path, you're aware of your journey. I don't know how to word it, but anyway, often it can get a little bit much and you just think, oh my God, I need to be listening to podcasts all the time and stuff like that. And the truth is you don't, go and put some comedy on, or go and, watch a love story or something. I don't know. But yeah, chill. This is a chill card. Definitely rest, retreat, relax. And the retreat bit's important, of course. It's the same as solitude. And it can often be retreating even away from your own home. If you can stay somewhere, I don't know, a lot of people, house sitting for other people when they're on holiday. Maybe you're feeding the cat for a neighbor. Maybe you could just go in and spend a couple of hours playing with the cat just on your own in a different environment, not in your usual environment, because our houses are, everything is energy. Of course, that's why having a big clear out is really important, because you just feel the place lifted, because you're just throwing out old energy and you're allowing new energy in. So very often it's really important to actually spend time out of our own houses, and you might come back realizing, yeah, I need to clear stuff out, but also from our loved ones, however lovely they are, we still have an energetic influence on them and from them. So it's really important just to spend some time out from our loved ones, just so that you can really feel into who you are and where you want to go and stuff like that. Because they may not agree with the things that you're thinking at the moment, especially if you're evolving at this amazing speed in the Great Awakening. So it's really important, the rest, retreat, relax. Self-care is really big for that one. There's your Fool. There's your Fool. Absolutely wonderful. Major Arcana. There's the leap of faith. So this is what's coming from the baby steps. So you're taking the baby steps, just doing whatever it is that you love a little bit more, realizing that it's raising your frequency, realizing that it's expanding you in some way or another, just realizing how much you're bloody enjoying it, and then realizing that you need to do more of it. There's your leap of faith, because he still can't see what's ahead, but his heart is telling him that he needs to go in that direction. There's a lovely, I never get this quote right, but you'll get the gist. It's by Anne Nin, and it's about the risk it took to stay in a bud was greater than the risk it takes to bloom. I'll say that again, it's really important. The risk it takes to stay in a bud is greater than the risk it takes to bloom. Because when you're ready to evolve and to move on, if you try and fight that, if you have resistance to change, you don't want to leave that relationship, you don't want to leave that job, you don't want to leave that house, you don't want to leave that comfort zone, you don't think you're good enough, you don't think you can do it, and all of that. If you have resistance, the universe is going to send you out, it's going to catapult you out of there, and then you'll get your Tower card. That's a Tower card moment. As the Chinese proverb says, if it's time for you to move and you don't move, everything around you will start stinking for your own benefit. So the relationship will go sour, the house will make you feel sick, and everything will just get, the job will, you might get fired from the job, it's like, or the other person might end the relationship, or you might get evicted, or, whatever it might be, the universe will kick you out of there. If you're not responding to the call. He's responded to the call. He's taking very little forward, because we are kind of, it's not that we have to live without money, but money, a lot of people are having their path to enlightenment through money. If you're used to having a lot of money and then you suddenly don't have money, people, then that brings up fear. So we have to kind of learn to be happy. We have to learn to be happy single, of course. When we learn to be happy single, then we love ourselves single, then we're in a position to have a relationship, of course. But we need to be able to be happy without anything, because the happiness has to come from within. And if your sense of security is tied into your relationship, your job, or your money, your savings, your financial income, whatever, if your sense of security is coming from anyone or anything outside of you, then don't be surprised if the universe takes it away, because the lesson for you will be to find that sense of security within. And those of you that have followed me before know the affirmation, galore, galore, I have everything I need and more. And when you say that, you feel that security and that abundance within, that will create it outside of you. So then the abundance that you're creating is coming from through you. It's divine, as opposed to from a place of fear, lack, and limitation, and you're hanging on to it in a place of contraction. Do you see what I'm getting at? That's a really important point, I think. But yeah, the Fool, new adventure. He's not foolish or stupid or anything. He's a little bit naive because he doesn't know what's coming. None of us know what's coming. I can feel this energy building. I can feel the way that I do things is different. And the sessions that I offer people, they're clearly evolving along with me and along with the needs of my client, so but we don't know where it's heading, but we need to be open, receptive, and excited, I think, and that is it. That also obviously means we need to trust. I trust in the universe. I trust myself. All these beautiful affirmations. I'll put a link in the description and the video in the end screen to my video on how to reprogram your subconscious mind, because I think it's really important that we trust ourselves. I love and accept myself. I trust in the process of life. The universe is a safe place. I mean, all these high frequency beliefs, if you're not in alignment with them, security, I am safe and secure. I am always safe and secure. I am free. I am free. I am free. Embracing and embodying the energy of these words, these affirmations, these beliefs is life-changing. So check out that video, because you can use the brain integration activities that I share in the video to help you install that belief and to help you align with the frequency of them, to help you on your journey, because this is the beginning of a new spiritual journey. He's on a spiritual quest to understand more about who he is, self-realization, to understand more about the universe, the energetic world that we live in, how we create our reality. I'm not going to go on about that one now. I'll do a video on that one later. But yeah, beautiful new adventure. We've got a new adventure coming in the next one's the lovers. Oh my God, you can't make this up. This is self-love all the way. This is self-love all the way. The more you love yourself, the more you're going to meet Mr. or Mrs. Right for you. Mr. and Mrs. not Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. Mr. and Mrs. Perfect for you. Mr. and Mrs. Right for you. Spiritually guided. Yeah, this is the Lovers card, and it starts with you. Loving yourself, self-love. So what does self-love look like? What does self-love look like? Let's have a look. I'm going to share my screen. I think this is going to go on for ages, this one. I'll apologize in advance. Yeah, you all know this. Yeah, you know this chart, but I'm going to use this chart, which I've used many times before. And I have actually got a video on how the definition of love changes as you expand into higher levels of consciousness on this chart. But let's have a look at self-love. What does self-love look like? Because self-love is going to look different at different levels of consciousness. I mean, self-love down here is probably non-existent, but self-love here could be walking out of a toxic relationship, walking out of a job that you don't like, that you're not enjoying, just finding a healthier group of friends. It could be improving your diet, something like that. And as you come up here, self-love can be really investing more time, money, and energy in you, your well-being, and your frequency. Realizing that actually that massage is not a luxury, it's actually a necessity. Understanding the importance of investing in yourself. So self-love could be, you know, soaking in the bath with your Epsom salts or what have you, but it can also be understanding the importance of forgiveness, which we've already touched on. Forgiveness is on this chart at this level with acceptance 350. The forgiveness is there as well, and the colors here are not quite the same as on the true map of consciousness, the full map of consciousness, because forgiveness is actually in the heart chakra, and it's what's, well, in my opinion, is stopping a lot of people from going into the self-expression, the divine self-expression. Forgiveness is actually stopping a lot of people from going into this frequency, which of course is the frequency of love. This is a state of love, not just being able to love one or two people. This is living in the state of love, unconditional love for everything and everyone. And obviously we've gone through the gate of willingness, but this forgiveness is right here, and then it goes into the blue zone up here, which of course relates to expression, divine expression, expressing your soul, expressing your soul's gifts through within your human experience. And then of course, as you come up here, what does self-love look like? Self-love looks like just changing a thought that has a negative emotion attached to it, choosing another thought. Choose another thought. Choose a thought that has a healthier, happier emotion attached to it, or release all thoughts. Release all thoughts. Become opinionless. It's a real beautiful place to be. Just no right and wrong, of course. You know, there is a field beyond right and wrong. As Rumi said, I'll meet you there. So self-love would be doing what thinking, not doing. It will be thinking thoughts that have a healthier, higher frequency emotion attached to them. So that's forgiveness, of course, isn't it? It's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. But what self-love actually looks like can depend on obviously different situations, but also your level of consciousness. Everything changes as you expand into higher levels of consciousness. On the original map of consciousness from Dr. David Hawkins, Power versus Force, he has a column that is about your view of God. Your view of God changes. Your definition of God changes. And we hear that, don't we? Everyone like talks about God, and you think, you know, someone says, do you believe in God? It's like, you can't answer that question because you don't know what definition of God the person that's asking the question has. Because what they're really saying is, do you believe in my definition of God? And I'm like, well, before I answer that question, tell me what your definition of God is so that I can answer the question. Because there are so many different definitions, and the definition of God will change. Your view of God will change as you expand into higher levels of consciousness. Your view of life, I've talked about that before. Your view of life will change. Your view of love will change. And now I'm talking about your view of self-love. What does self-love mean to you? So yeah, it will mean different things at different stages in your life. But ultimately, it's about tapping in to the unconditional love and feeling it for you primarily, and everyone and everything. And it's a big ask. It's a big ask, isn't it? It's a big ask. Okay, let's have a look. Oh yes, look, now we're burdened. It's a big ask, and there's all the burdens. This always reminds me of people that have responsibilities. And I meet people all the time that feel like this. But I want to do X, Y, Z. My passion hobby is to do X, Y, Z, but I have a family to look after. I'm looking after my elderly parents. You know, I've got pets that need looking after. I'm responsible for a business. I'm looking after employees, you know, whatever, you know, feeling completely burdened. But this is someone who doesn't understand how they create their reality. No one is asking you to be irresponsible. What we're asking you to do is to take the weight of that responsibility off your shoulders. Drop the wands, I want to say. It's a 10. There's a completion. You've carried as many wands as you can carry now. Okay, you've basically weighed yourself into the ground. Drop the bloody wands. Just drop them. You can still look after your family. You can still spend time doing what you need to be doing, but make time for your passion hobby as well. You believe that you haven't got time to do it. You need to reclaim that time. You know, take your family to do the passion hobby with you or what have you. Just start. It starts with a baby step. That's why this energy is happening now. It's the month of July, and it's relevant, those messages about taking the baby steps. Okay, you can just let this go just for a couple of hours. Take a breather. Everyone's going to be okay. You know, you've got someone looking after the children. You've got, you know, the parents have been looked after. Just a couple of hours, because you're only being asked to take a baby step. You're being asked to take a baby step into solitude. You're being asked to collaborate, tap into the higher realms. You're being asked just to go for that massage, rest, have that soak in the bath, have the shower, whatever it might be, do a puzzle, play the music, paint a picture, whatever it might be. You're being asked to do it. Just take 2 hours out of your time to start your new little adventure. It's a baby step. But if you don't take that baby step, when you take that baby step, it's like opening the door. You know, it's like opening, you know, the floodgates. You have to be ready and willing to allow your full potential. So yeah, don't feel burdened. What's come on the heels of it? Light. You are the light. You've got the sun. It's the most powerful positive card in the deck. Horses, a positive movement forward. The child represents a rebirth. There's a new you coming, because when you raise your frequency by doing that 2 hours, right? I'm just saying that as an example. When you raise your frequency, you're going to go into higher levels of consciousness, which means you're going to think differently. You're going to think with more love. You're going to tap into more love. So you're going to be able to help your elderly parents with more love rather than with resentment. You're going to be able to look after your family with love without the resentment. You're going to be able to do your tasks at work with love that you have a job, that, you know, it's keeping a roof over your head. The gratitude, do everything with the gratitude. You have the parents, you have the family, you have the friends, you have the responsibilities. You know, it is lovely to be responsible free, but do you want a life without your family? Do you want a life without that job? Do you want, just think. Okay, see if you can change the way you look at the situation. Just that 2 hours is going to just be enough to raise your frequency, to view these responsibilities, right, from a stronger. That love is your superpower. So once you've tapped into that love, what he does is he turns into Adonis and then he can carry the 10 wands, and it's not weighted on his shoulders. This is about the perception of carrying a burden. We can do wonders. We can perform miracles. Allow yourself to perform the miracle. Okay, you can look after everyone from a place of unconditional love, no weight on the shoulders. That card, that's what this card is saying, because you are the light, you are the divinity shining brightly in this human experience. Oh my goodness, yes, oh my goodness. I love it, I love it. So this is the High Priestess, Major Arcana. She's the most psychic card in the deck. It's really coming on the heels of tapping into the higher realms, tapping into, in the Pyramid of Light, tapping into your psychic abilities, being able to talk with the non-physical, being able to talk with the souls of the people you want to have conversations with. Yeah, she's the most intuitive card in the deck. So you're really going to get some guidance. She's coming up at the end. So this week is massive. You just got to take some time out. If you've never done it before, meditating in a pyramid of light, I mean, you could be walking in the mountains. You don't have to be sitting still. You could be swimming. You could be doing anything. But just visualize this pyramid around you. And you don't even have to do that. Just invite your highest self in, and just invite the consciousness of whatever resonates with you. Arcturians, Pleiadians, it could be archangels, it could be passed over loved ones, it could be your spirit guides. Doesn't matter. Whatever resonates with you. Just, it's higher level of consciousness, isn't it? It just invite them in and then see what you think. You'll come up with a good idea. You don't expect an answer straight away. They're not going to call you on the phone, right? Just they're going to communicate with you through your intuition. That's what she's saying. They're going to communicate with you through your intuition. And you're going to be like, oh, that was a good idea. And you're going to think it's your idea, your human's idea. And it's like, no, it's come through you. But when those ideas come through you, then you know that that's divine. That's divine. Wonderful, amazing. And our last card, this is a lovely one. Look at the abundance. Look at the abundance. Look at the abundance. So those people that think, oh, I can't not do the job, I can't not do that. This is abundance. It's a 10. It's completion. Okay. We've got 2 10s here. It's the completion of this burden, the completion of this suffering, because you're transmuting it into this completion of abundance. And this is, you know, because he's starting his journey, and it's his journey to abundance. And of course, that means love, health, happiness, joy, freedom, security, all of it, and financial abundance, of course, all goes hand in hand. This is the whole family. In the background of tarot, although there isn't one, in the background of tarot, the castle represents your goals in life, and it's usually quite far in the distance. And I like to think in this card, they're in that castle. So they're in the castle of their goals in life. 10 Pentacles are typically financial security. This card is typically about inheritances and windfalls, and coming into more money one way or another. But also my interpretation of Pentacles, of course, is abundance, which includes your abundance of health, that your health could improve, your abundance of loving relationships can improve, your abundance of happiness and joy, and etc., etc. And of course, you can see the dogs are there. There's the little dog. We never leave our pets behind, do we? And you can see there's the family, there's the kids, there's the old person, the people, the parents that you've been looking after, that you're worried about neglecting. You know, look how happy they are living in abundance with you, because you released that perception of burden, that perception of suffering. Suffering can be changed in a thought. Change the thought, leave the suffering behind. Okay, and you can just fill up with gratitude for that family, gratitude for everything that you have. Okay, and then you'll feel that the responsibility, just comes off your shoulders. And when you're going to do whatever it is, practical acts of support or what have you, you can do them from a higher level of frequency, because you've taken your time out. You've listened to the cards and taken your time out, and you've just raised your frequency, started a new hobby, met some new friends, just taken a couple of hours to yourself. That's all you need. It's the baby steps. Take the baby steps, because then the next step will come, the next step will come, the next step will come, and we're going to find this abundance for everyone, for the whole family. It's an abundance of joy. Wow. They really followed on, didn't they? I've never had that many before, but oh my goodness me. And I just turn them over as I go. And they really, really followed on. Some major arcanas there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcanas, and more than half of them. Wow. 2 tens. Wow. It's an intensive week, isn't it? I've gone on for ages. I've got no idea how long I've gone on for. Yeah, that's just the way it goes, I'm afraid. If you have made it to the end, well done. Get in touch if you want to book a private reading. I love you so much. Thank you for your contribution to humanity, to what you're doing. Thank you for raising your frequency and looking at ways to expand into higher levels of consciousness, because by you doing that, you're serving humanity and you're making the world a better place for all of us. And for that, I love you. Bye for now.